Hey guys, I'm RozaldVaneGAME, and welcome back to another episode of Paradise Killer. This will be the last episode of Paradise Killer, unfortunately, I guess? I don't know if I wanted to call it unfortunately, because I kind of do wish to close this game out now, because I want to make sure that I wanted to just get to the last few people to talk to, and then we'll try to see where the credit goes and everything, like what happens after all of that sort of like madness gets unfolded. So we need to talk to Henry and Lydia one last time before we go off to do whatever Perfect 25 is going to give us. Will we get the best ending? I doubt it. Will we get the good ending? Maybe. Will we get the worst ending? Also maybe. Anything is possible. I have no clue. I'm just going to run along with what I chose. I'm not going to bother if I care if I have like the best or the worst ending. What is this? Oh, because I'm guessing it's because there's no evidence needed anymore, so they need to prevent that from being a thing. Right, we're going over here because Henry apparently is back over here for some odd reason. He's like all the way over here. I mean, he's probably still gonna be in prison for a little while because he's gonna probably do whatever. I don't know if I want to exile Henry though. I don't think he needs to be executed. I think he might need to be exiled for the sake of his dangerousness, because even if he's innocent, I feel like he still has no control over his own body, I feel like. So that's the hard part, I think.
What do you want, freak?
By executing Akiko, you have destroyed any hope of Perfect 25. At least try to redeem yourself by executing the true murderer. The true justice has already been served. Justice. Akiko would only ever act to protect the council. I don't know how you tricked Judge, but you'll never trick me. Now execute Henry before this island shuts down. He doesn't deserve to see the magnificent end. Its magnificent end. I don't think he needs to be killed though.
That was quite a fucking show!
I'm amazed I'm still here. You were scapegoated. I was just doing my job.
My mind is like a desert covered in fog.
I appreciate it. That's the first time someone has stood up for me. I spent my entire life adrift. The world happens around me. I moved between currents. Nothing I did was ever good enough. Nothing ever worked. No one wanted me. You'd believed in the truth. Thank you. Oh wait, you can execute but not exile? Oh. I'll leave him be. He's pretty much misunderstood, I feel like. Henry is misunderstood to some degree. Though I don't see him murdering anyone so far. Like, there hasn't been any weird reason for him to be murdered, considering... Or, he hasn't shown to me that he's murdered anyone. And that's the weird part. So it's like, even if Henry was accused of all this, he was just misunderstood, I feel like. You can't leave this island. I'm just a bunch of crap. Citizen. I'm just a simple ass citizen. There are a load more for you to abduct for the next island, right? I've got a demon in me. I can't have that on your precious new island, can you? Goodbye, Henry.
I'm shocked! Stunned!
What effing ever. So we're not taking him anyways, it seems like, so I guess that's pretty much it for that. I'm not gonna bother with the marshal telling me how I need to execute him before that. Like, it doesn't make sense because he's already dying anyway, so we can't do anything. I'm not gonna execute Henry. I'm gonna let the island take Henry down. I'm not gonna worry about it as much. And even if he survives, it really doesn't help anyways. That, like, I don't think Henry killed anyone to begin with, so it makes no sense to kill Henry in that spot whatsoever. Even if he's possessed, it doesn't mean like the demon has killed anyone inside of him, but whatever, I guess. Alright, last but not least, it's time for Lydia to talk to me one last time. Alright, so we're gonna get off this island, and then probably the credits gonna roll, or we're gonna see the results of our actions, and then credits roll. And then we'll talk about our thoughts, or my thoughts, and opinion about what I think so far about this game, after finishing this game, technically. Can you believe there's a literal achievement that's like 10 minutes long? Like, you can beat this game in 10 minutes, is what it said. I can't believe it. I'm just so surprised that there's an achievement for that, and there is a possibility you can finish this game in 10 minutes. Unless it's like... Unless it's 10 minutes because you can actually just grab a few evidence and then scrap it together and then that's it. Like, you can end the trial like then and there. There is no right or wrong answer, I'm feeling, in this game, because they want it to be ambiguous as possible. And the truth is drafted up by ourselves as a player, but that's what I think it's trying to do. I'm not gonna save this time.
I'm glad you're back, LD.
LD's back, ladies and gentlemen. You ready to go? Or we can execute Lydia and we get stuck here forever. That would be so funny, though. Let's go to the next island. You sure you're ready to go? Time to get out of here. Hop in, LD. Let's hope Perfect 25 is better than this island. Closing island sequence 24 applications. Ready for island sequence 25. Woof! Oh, it's Bear-chan. Woof! Oh, you're coming too, aren't you? Woof, woof. Okay then, in the car. Looks like you got a new friend, LD. Let's go to the next island. Let's rock. I'm looking forward to hanging with you and Sammy on the next island. We'll go get a drink together. I can't wait to see Perfect 25. You think the Syndicate will survive this? We'll rebuild, I guess. We'll rebuild. We always do. Hope you're right, LD. There's a power vacuum now. What if this happens again? It won't. The investigator has breathed life back into paradise. And credits. Oh no, wait, what? Shinji. I'm going to miss you, loved eyes. We could have something special. Nothing brings people together like this impending obliteration of a pocket of reality. Still, at least the case of the Paradise Killer got her out of exile. I wonder if her truths were right. I guess I will never know. I hope Perfect 25 was worth it. Obviously, I hope they all die in a fire, but for their sakes, I hope they enjoy it. I've only known humans for a short amount of time, but they all seem to be idiots that only work for themselves. I'm sure they'll F it up nicely. Anyway, time to watch reality die. Yeah, so that was the case of, like, what Shinji wanted to present was that we will never know what happens in results of what happened. Everything is kind of crafted to let the player decide what happens next, not so much as knowing what's going to happen next. Alright, thank you guys not watching yet. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'll lower the volume for the credits a little bit, just out of precaution, I guess. Lowering it on my ears so I can talk a bit better. Alright, yeah, overall, Paradise Killer. This is pretty much Paradise Killer for this game. Oh wow, is that moon literally shooting some rockets or something? I'm so confused with the little sparkle in the moon. Yeah, so like, this is it for Paradise Killer. I mean, it's been 40-ish episodes in this game so far for the stuff we've been through. I don't know how I feel about the ending. I understand that the ending is very ambiguous, and that's the reason for this game, is that they want to make it very ambiguous for the player to guess, you know, like, that they do the right thing or do the wrong thing. They don't want it to... I feel like they didn't want to, the developers didn't want to, like, make the player hold on to a story that just thinks that, you know, you would get an ending that the developers want, but they want the ending to be what the players want. So I think it's a good move, but it also feels a little like... It feels a little bit like it leaves the story too open-ended for me to kind of feel like we had a proper closure for this game. And I think that's the problem, I think, on top of having an ambiguous ending, is that it leaves with an improper ending. But maybe they might want to use that as a way to push for, I don't know, a Paradise Killer 2 or something, if there is a chance of that happening. I don't think they should be making a second one. I mean, it's not an impossible story to write. It would be a difficult one to make. To continue that story of this story that we've made for ourselves. So I think ultimately it's I think this game is good at where it's at for a mystery investigation type of game. Heck, this game is way more interesting for me, or to me, about investigations. I think this game definitely works well with the whole idea of mystery and investigation, and giving a huge freedom about how you would approach certain clues and evidence and stuff like that. Oh. But I think one of the biggest selling point for Paradise Killer is definitely not just the story, but also the sort of like the scenery, the beauty. Thank you for playing. Yep. Okay, what's gonna happen? Oh, there's some more. Let's see what they have to say. So that's how it ended. A weird turn of events. The strangest paradise yet. Is this paradise safe? Of course it isn't. This is the syndicate we're talking about. Will we need her again? We always will. She's the only one that can save paradise. So yeah, that leaves the mystery of like of knowing if we did the right thing or not still, which is hilarious to me. Alright, cool. So that's pretty much it for that part, I guess. It's just mystery after mystery, and potentially a sequel is what they're trying to say out of that one last line. Yeah, I mean, this game is definitely a unique game to allow for investigation to be a thing, and lets the player kind of openly find out what they want to find. And if they miss something, it's not gonna like straggle your problems into like the many other cases. And you can even like say, hey, like I want to just get rid of this one guy because this one guy seems more suspicious than the other people who were helping the other guys. So that was really nice touch that I didn't realize, because I was like, I wanted to get rid of Witness because I fear that he's also a problem because he has the worst motive outside of every other characters. But you know, like I see Sammy, he might be a little partial for me where I feel a little bit like I want to let him go, but I don't want to let him go a little bit. But then again, certain characters didn't really deserve to die because I kind of felt like they only did it because they were like struggling due to the fact that somebody was holding them down or trying to push them to do that thing for them really roughly, rather than have their own motives to try to help them out. So I don't know, maybe I might have did the wrong thing, maybe I did the right thing, I don't know. This is a game probably with multiple different ways of approach and different ways of ending. I would recommend you, if you want to play it for yourself, which I really do recommend if you are a visual novel type of person, or if you're just a person who's just like into just reading a story and reading dialogue and figuring out for yourself. I think this is definitely a game for you if you are into that kind of thing. If you're not into this stuff, like you're just an action adventure kind of player, this might be a little bit hard to get into considering how there's a lot of dialogues. I know some people don't want to read too much, or they want the reading to be read by an actual voice actor or something. Like Disco Elysium would be a good example. Like it didn't have any readings previously, and now it has a lot of reading involved because a lot of voice actors were hired to read those lines. This one doesn't have that, unfortunately, probably due to budget constraints. Or actually, yeah, they did have budget constraints, but they didn't have they have only like one-liners from the characters rather than actually reading, which is fine, I think, for me personally. But I think that that if you had the people reading those lines, you could have used them to at least voice those lines. But I think maybe the writing kept changing along the way, and they didn't have enough time to just have a finalized script for all the characters to be read properly. So I think that made it even harder for them to put together that whole script for the VAs, the voice actors, to read those lines for the characters itself. So that might have been the case. Yeah, so I would say definitely a shame to not have reading, but I also think that it's fine. I think I read through a lot of the dialogue and stuff, and I enjoyed the dialogue conversations. Hard to copy their accents though, because of how specific some of them are. Like the Dr. Doom Jazz has like a Scottish or Irish kind of like accent. I don't know which accent it is. I mix Scottish and Irish, no offense to those guys. I mix their accents a lot because I don't know how they sound, and I haven't listened enough to those kind of type of accents enough to know or distinguish the both. It's hard for me to distinguish those two, so my apologies for those who are fans of, or who are from that culture or from the country of Scotland and Ireland, so no offense to them. And then some of them like has like French accents, some of them have like the mask like Witness does, so it's really hard to read some of those characters the way I did for this series whatsoever. I think the abilities and stuff like that, the game's mechanics are simplistic at base or at basic points, but it felt weird to have those like traversal abilities. But I think that's because they had to allow for it for the players who wants to hunt for collectibles, and that's why I think they had so much of those variety of like traversal mechanics to help the player get through that. But I feel like it's very like half baked a little bit to not have enough stuff or interesting stuff to it that allows for upgrades of that ability, or maybe even like, I don't know, like double dash or something. I don't know. I mean, it would have been nice to have some extra stuff to it besides just having those 3 basic traversal of dash, double jump, and what was the other one? There was another one I can't remember. Oh, scanning the whole like island stuff like for collectibles. It was kind of weird, I think, but it's whatever it is. Yeah, otherwise I think the whole experience of this game is really somewhat interesting, and I think it's unique in its own sake. And I think that some players might have a different experience than the next person usually if they played blindly. If they watch this whole series, they might play it very differently or in a different order, and it could happen pretty well, I think. There's plenty of achievements obviously as well to just kind of get people accustomed to just getting distracted by everything, so that could be a case too. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. The music's been great, I think, and they're very, very like low in audio, but I can hear it from my headphones because I pretty much put the volume a little higher than some people, or more than from the video sense kind of thing. Like I'm hearing it more on the video side than hearing it on the video of editing and putting it out and stuff like that. But I hear it from when I'm playing it. Art, I think, is very good too as well. I think the scenery, the level design and the sceneries are pretty well done. The level design, however, I felt was it's simplistic, obviously, but it made sense for what it wanted to do, which is to build a city island or an island with multiple distinct visual style or certain architectural style, and I think that works really well where it's paired up properly. Where they did I did watch a little bit of their documentary, like it's a documentary, I don't know if it's a documentary, where the developers were like, oh, we wanted to do this idea of, like, the game started off as an FPS, I think, and then they said that they wanted to do a train station game, but then it devolved into this island idea. So then I see where they were coming from with the whole train station in Japan, I think it was specifically that they wanted to do, but then they ended up just forming an island with Japanese influence or Japanese influenced architecture and scenery. So then that's why they came up with this island, and I think it really did feel a lot more closer to Japanese styled ways. Like I can see the city skyscrapers as like Tokyo based, and some of the smaller like suburban areas are like more Japanese suburban areas, like home-like areas. And then of course some of the mountain sceneries are like similar to that, where Japan has like mountainous areas and stuff like that with like rural village and stuff. So I can see where all the influences come from in that case. And same for the factory, I think, as well. Deep Factory was a little bit influenced in a weird way to me, in my mind, to be similar to some Japanese factories that exist in Japan. Otherwise, I think that a lot of the sceneries are really picture perfect, almost like not picture perfect, but like scenic in a way that you can just want to take a picture constantly everywhere. I did a lot of thumbnails with a lot of scenery pictures, and that's because I think they work really well. But I think that it will get to a point where it kind of gets repetitive in a weird way for picture taking. But obviously, I think that if you sat around in this island for so long, you can just take a bunch of pictures and have fun at it. So I think that's why it works really well for that case of this game, I think. So yeah, I think definitely the scenery of the level is pretty good, and I really definitely recommend those who haven't gotten into this to try to like just take a look around. It's really beautiful and interesting, and I think that you can get distracted by collectibles, but once you get rid of a lot of the collectibles, you can just walk around and just look how beautiful it is, or not beautiful, how scenic view style it is. I'm not gonna say beautiful because I think it doesn't have like beautiful lighting as Mirror's Edge Catalyst and Mirror's Edge does, but it does have the sort of like shape, color, style that and mood and tone that fits the 1980s vintage looking kind of like retro feel, while it's not as like crazy realistic and stuff like that, and futuristic and other stuff that other games would do it and stuff like that. So I think that definitely fits well in the scenery that it's trying to fit to the island, with the whole sky, the whole skybox and stuff like that. Alright, anyways, the point is, I would say that this would be it. Those are my thoughts, I think. UI, I didn't really turn it on. I turned it off, actually, throughout the whole game. I do apologize for those who are like, how come Roz doesn't have any UI on his screen? It's like, oh, because I kind of did it out of, like, necessity of just enjoying the scenes. So I never really got to see any of the UI besides the scanning and the checking to see where, like, certain characters were at in the map. And maybe Starlight UI. Starlight UI was pretty simplistic, but that's fine, I guess, too. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video and series for what I'm going through here. Thank you guys for watching, and I don't know if this video is short enough. Is it short? No, it's not that short. It's pretty medium-ish. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for joining me on Paradise Killer. I don't know if it was an interesting series to watch or not. There was a lot of reading, obviously, and I did as much as I can for voicing. It's really hard, difficult to deal with, but I try my best, at the very least, I'd say. And I hope you guys enjoy all of that stuff, and enjoy the mystery and the thinking of everything that I went through, and moving around throughout the space. Probably repetitively, I think. I went through a lot of the space. Probably more than 3 times at that point, at this point, I think. So definitely would say that there's a lot of backtracking and a lot of looking around and revisiting areas that kind of made it harder for me to kind of like feel interested in it. But yeah, I think that one of the biggest problems for sure is backtracking. But I think that's like a small little thing if you don't mind the repetitiveness of re-exploring some areas for mysteries to unfold and uncover and stuff like that. Anyways, yeah, so this is it for the series. My thoughts, opinions, that's laid out literally for this episode. Thankfully, I'm saving this whole episode for that. And thank you guys for joining me if you guys enjoy the series. Do pick up this game for yourself. I'll put a whole slew of links to the game in all the platforms that it's available on at the description box down below. If you guys are interested in other games, I will most likely place a sort of annotation end screen thing at the end of this video, so that will be always the case. And then all the other videos had their own annotation end screen stuff, so that'll be that. Yeah, what else do I want to say? I think that's mostly it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you guys in another game, another series, another video of mine. I will dearly miss this game's like scenery because it's unique compared to other games that I've played, and I think that it definitely was interesting to kind of visit this game. I didn't have an expectation walking into this, and I really appreciate this game's sort of style and genre and narrative and stuff like that. It's really interesting nonetheless to go through and kind of play through to the very end. Otherwise, yeah, what's next for this guy, Roz? What's next for the game for what I'm playing? I'll leave that to me when I get to that point, when we will be playing another game very soon, hopefully. That will take in the slot of this game, or maybe I might be trying to finish up another game, but we'll not know until then. So, other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Roz out.